Hey everyone, welcome on back to our lovely little discussion and analysis and a lot of thoughts on Arcane Season 2, the final act. I'm here, Mimics Mayhem, joined by my amazing editor. Say hello.
Hi.
And we're going to go over basically the finale of the series. My God, so many thoughts, so many things happened. I am sad. I cried a shit ton. You go.
No, yeah, it was great. I had my doubts that they could stick the landing, I'll be honest, after Act 2, but no, I think they stuck the landing. I think it was a great job.
They did a phenomenal job, and you're right. Like, there was some worries with like the pacing in Act 2 going into Act 3, but they managed to balance everything back into place, and I thought it was just absolutely gorgeous. Um every scene was so well done. And there's so many amazing nuggets that we all get in each episode that gives so much satisfaction.
Yeah,
Um
the entire series is an artistic triumph. I do truly think that.
it absolutely is. And I don't care what Riot says about like how they didn't make any money with this show. They invented a whole new art style. They literally made so much merch sales. Even if the show didn't directly give them money, it gave them something way more valuable, and that is trust in a good product. And just artistry. This is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. If people talk about Netflix, they will bring up Arcane if they have any taste, I feel. God. No.
I think that this season had some like disadvantage because because the first season came out of nowhere, right? And no one like expected it to be that good. I
Exactly.
put it I put a great to my friend. No one expected the League of Legends show by the studio that does their music videos to be this good.
Exactly that. Like, who would have thought that a studio that is mostly doing music videos would make an entire series that everyone would fall in love with? Who would have thought that they would make something so good it literally deserves all the awards and accolades that is on nomination for?
Yeah, like I do think that this will stand the test of time.
There's a reason why I'm getting it in physical media, guys. Like, I don't buy anything in physical media anymore, but I'm like, I have to make sure I have this at the end of the day. But no, like, first thoughts, Act 3. As a whole, this act is beautiful at the balancing act. It tells you where everyone is, both physically and emotionally, and we get to see so many amazing conclusions. I think Arcane stuck the landing of what it was trying to do. Um, any like other first thoughts that you have?
First thoughts, there's too many to count, but
That's very valid. We can go over all of them while we're talking about the episodes.
yeah.
So, episode 7. My God. I didn't think
I
we'd.
mean, I mean,
You go.
we talked about it. Yeah, it was like I would not have expected an entire episode, and they went into the multiverse, and I still did mine.
I I didn't know how I feel about the whole like alternate timeline situation because we kind of guessed that there would be time loops. We can put screenshots of the timestamps of when we made
Yeah.
these theories last night before we watched it. But like we kind of thought a time loop or timeline situation would be happening. And we all kind of know if we've been in the, you know, pop culture media center of film and television recently, multiverses are very saturated, maybe oversaturated. But Arcane did it so beautifully that I didn't even care what I was watching. I was sat here enjoying this entire world they built again in a different lens.
I think also a big reason is that it did not overstay its welcome at all. Like, I think this was the perfect amount. We saw a perfect amount. If it was a bit less or a bit more, I probably would have felt off. We saw just enough of it to feel the tragedy, and then enough to motivate Echo into hoping again. You know,
Exactly. I think you're so right on it being the perfect amount, because you're right. Any less, and we had thought that this would just be a quick blip, like where they were. I'm so happy it wasn't. Any less, and I would have been like, why did we spend that much time there? What were we doing? Like, there's like no point, right? Like, my brain would have gone immediately to that point. But we spent an entire episode in a space where hex tech was never invented. It never happened. And we see the outcome of that. We see that Zahn is happy and healthy. We see that people are making lives for themselves. Sadly, in this world, Vi is gone. But Powder never becomes Jinx. Powder lives a happy, healthy life with Echo. And you see so many familiar faces that are deceased in our world, our main world, that are alive, happy, and healthy here. It is stunning, and it's such a stark contrast to where our boy Jace ends up. Would you like to talk about him, since I have so many thoughts on him after the last
lands
act?
in fucking hell, like like he just lands in hell.
He
Oh my
does.
god, that was so funny. Like, like the meme of the funniest thing, where it's just like, Echo and Heimerdinger, Jace. It's just
It really is just so sad that, like, Echo and Heim get this beautiful storytelling arc of what could have been. And
eat pancakes.
get eat beautiful cakes. But Jace gets a story of what could be. And it is nightmare fuel. I'm talking weeping angel jump scares, eldritch abominations, Pompeii level disasters for cities, and foreshadowing and links back to the original story, what really happened in season 1. I genuinely think having these two stories happening side by side is one of the strengths of Arcane, being able to go back and forth. I truly do.
Yeah, there. I do like that this episode, like, it stayed focused on, because we've been wondering all season, like, where did they go? What are they doing?
We've been wanting more Echo and more Heim, because those are the two characters that I think a lot of us in season 1 wanted to see more of in season 2. And while we didn't really see all that much more, what we have gotten has been amazing.
And we finally have them, like, inventing and, like, working together with Powder.
Oh my god, yes. We get to see Heimerdinger and Echo interact with Powder. And I think it's hilarious that Heimerdinger always calls her Miss Powder, and it seems like he has no idea that she is Jinx.
He has no clue of the terrorists in his own city, apparently.
Exactly. He has no clue. He's so happy to work with her, and he's like, I hope Miss Powder won't mind that we're occupying her space. And, like, I'm just like, oh baby, sweet, adorable Heimerdinger. You don't even know that she's killed people. It's not her, but, like, I feel like if you have a different reaction at this point.
He has no clue. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, like, this episode does a great job of showing us what could have been and what could be. And Powder's relationship with Vi, even though Vi is past, is so beautiful. The fact that she has a shrine to her, that she has a way of remembering her. The way that the other characters seem to interact, how they made Powder the center of the friend group, because she was apparently strong enough to hold them up.
Yes.
Like, it is beautiful. Like we get constant reminders from like Vander to Powder, like, hey, you know, you could do more, right? You could do this. And if that's not the best father-daughter relationship I've seen, where they're helping each other through grief, I don't know what is.
It also speaks to how Jinx is normally, like, and she didn't want to lead a revolution or to be a terrorist, and she was content to just like work with Silco and like fuck up things.
Exactly. She wanted to help people. She just didn't know how to do it. And we even see that with her relationship with Isha, God rest her soul. That she was so content living in their little bubble, but they're constantly being brought out of it. And I like that here we get to see Echo, who knows Jinx as who she is now, and see Powder what she could have been, and help Powder embrace the positives that are Jinx, the ability to seize action, to seize the moment. It is beautiful, and I like that Echo's able to work through his very complicated feelings here, so he can be in the moment with Jinx whenever she needs it the most.
True. I was not. If you had told me, even last act that hey, Echo and Jinx will kiss, I would be like, what are you talking about? That's fucking ridiculous.
The thing is, like, I always like felt chemistry between them, but that's just because like I saw them fight each other, and I'm like, fighting in some media is seen as like this romantic type of style. Like you're very connected on the field.
Yeah.
Can we also just talk about how beautifully done parallels are in this series? Because in this first episode, we get so many parallels to the Jinx and Echo fight in season 1. With like Jinx's boots hitting the hitting the bridge, and Powder's boots hitting the dance floor, the smoke around them being very familiar.
Yeah.
It is stunning. It is stunning work they did.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 on this episode.
As we said, like, it's an artistic triumph, really. Like, there's so much in the series. It's so dense. And we were trying to, like, frame by frame, like, the intro, and to see all the secrets.
Yes, because they got even quicker with those little flashes, guys. So if you want to see all the secrets, definitely pause it and look at them. But we also probably might make a video for that itself. Just a little heads up.
You have a video player that can frame by frame. That's not VLC, because this is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I might just get it from Netflix. But I want to just say, not everything here is a triumph, because sadly, me and my editor here actually called a death that happened almost exactly as it was going to happen. Heimerdinger dies in this episode. He sacrifices himself for his pupil, which, if you watched our prediction video, is exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened, and I hate that I'm right. I hate it.
Told the truth.
We did exactly that. And the only other thing I really want to talk about with Heimerdinger is the fact that, like, he is so happy to be inventing with Powder and Echo. Shows that, like, he is getting that whimsy back, that he's embracing who he is as a Yordle and what he loved.
And he had like 4-ish years and to stay in the city and just get his groove back, you know?
Exactly. But like that's what I really want to talk about. There's also like a really funny moment where like they're testing out the Z drive that they finally make for Echo, so he has this full kit in this show. And they test it out, and Echo's like, oh yeah, we can only go 4 seconds, because he had just seen Heimerdinger explode and like Virgo everywhere and blood. And like Heimer's like, what do you mean? Because he's back and fully in peace. Why? What do you mean? What gave you this conclusion? And Echo's like, nothing. Sorry. We just can't.
Just trust.
Just trust me on this, bro. But no, like, that's like all I really want to talk about in this episode, because there is a lot to get through. I'll add one last thing, which is Victor's monsters, his followers, are terrifying, and you see that more in episode 2 of this act, episode 8.
They're really cool.
Though they're stunning, they're terrifying, and there's an understanding of why Jace did what he did. To everyone who was like anti-Jace, I'm so sorry that the show proved you wrong. But on to episode 2.
I didn't doubt it.
You literally never did. You were on his side, and I appreciate that. Episode 8, we get some of the realest depictions I think I've ever seen of depression. I want to go immediately into Jinx's story, because in this episode she's not in it as much, right? She's very much very brief. Jinx immediately ends up confronting Caitlyn. Like, Caitlyn goes to her cell where they're keeping her. We find out that she immediately surrendered herself after getting Vi to safety. And Caitlyn did all that she could. And there's this interaction where Caitlyn's like, can you please just admit what you did? Can you please just do this? There's no other option for you. And Jinx has this moment where she literally tells her, I didn't know your mom was in that room. It wouldn't have changed anything. I know it wouldn't have changed anything, but I didn't know. And it's it's an apology. It is an apology for the pain and suffering that she caused, specifically Caitlyn. She isn't regretting the action. She's regretting what her actions have done to one person.
Yeah, the impact of it.
Yeah. The impact. She's regretting the impact. And
because, because at that moment she was just like grieving as well. She
was grieving as well, and she's upset that like the blood from her wounds bled onto other people. And I just want to say, like, her depression isn't just shown here. It's shown in how much her hair just brought out the beauty of that drawn. It's shown in her conversations with her father figure, Silco, and how she just wants him gone. And how he talks to her about breaking the cycle, ending the cycle, and how it just never seems to let go. It happened before him and Vander, and it will continue on after Jinx and Vi. And Jinx decides that she is going to walk away, that she is deciding this. And you see her make that decision when Vi comes in to let her out. And we have this really compassionate, really brazen speech after Vi has opened the door and been shoved inside by Jinx, where Jinx is like, you don't have to feel guilty anymore for being happy. Please go love her, live your life. And it is absolutely stunning.
Yeah. It's Jinx finally it's Jinx finally not being homophobic.
I think her not being homophobic started in like the last episode of Act 1, where like she's like, I hope you guys got a chance to get Noah before this. Like she's like, I don't like it, but if you're gonna, I hope you got it,
That was pretty sarcastic of her. Like, oh yeah.
She's also being homophobic to Victor in Act 2, remember? She was calling him a metal fortune cookie. I know what that is. That's a new slur.
It's because he was saying like vague things.
Sure. Sure. Explain away her homophobia. Stop being an ally to bigotry. Oh my god.
Sure.
But no, like her story in this episode is very brief, but the visual storytelling, the effect that Isha's death has had on her, which everyone should understand, even if Isha is not being talked about, this is a result. That like Isha is in everything in this act.
Yeah, like all her actions are here.
Like every Isha's ghost is present in every scene, and I want you to understand that.
Okay.
But this is just a very small portion of the episode. A lot happens here. If you'd like to take away on either Mel and Abessa's story
Well,
or
no. I think you should take over, Mel, Miss
okay.
Bias.
Look, I am very biased and I'm so happy that she's gotten this. We actually started the episode with Mel. We see the conclusion to what happened after those thorn chains wrapped around her. We see that Mel uses her magic to break away, and these gold lines spread across her body, showing that she is a sorceress, a mage. And she has a very good conversation with another mage who refuses to reveal their name, even though they're very obviously LeBlanc. Those two lines underneath the eyes, I know what you are. And she's basically told, you are now a part of a very specific group, Mel, a group that is hated by everyone because of the power that you wield. Your mother had every opportunity to avoid the fate of your brother, and she chose power. She always makes that choice. You don't have to pay for her sins. And I think the storytelling just with how Mel looks, how she has changed, is beautiful in of itself. The ways that like the space has changed around her, no longer showing the prison or the empty, beautiful void like thorn space, is very important. I also like that LeBlanc has chosen the form of people that she cares about most, showing the girl that she saw get murdered in her original like flashback with Mbessa.
Oh yeah, true. It's very fucked up. Was there any ever confirmation that this is like LeBlanc?
It's an illusionist sorceress, right? Like we see that in the credits.
Yeah.
There's only one woman that fits that description that's a part of the Black Rose.
Got you. I was thinking like, because it could just be like some unnamed random mage of the Black Rose.
Why
or
would
something.
they do that, right? Like, why? Well, they have
to show magic users are dangerous, and like here's some unnamed person.
Yeah,
with
but also
with no hype.
Remember,
and she comes in and just bitch slaps it.
Remember this. We saw that damn twink that Mbessa was, having relations with in the same art that LeBlanc is in.
That was the craziest. Like,
people look everywhere, guys. I want you to know, every theory caster here, every person who delves into like media analysis, I love you. I love you. I love what you do. I think what you're doing is amazing, and you should keep at it. You really should keep at it. You're amazing. Oh, my God. No, like, seriously, guys, you all have done an amazing job with this series. Like, with the conversations I've seen in fandom, everything has been so embraced, and I love that there's just so much love and sourcing of information happening. But no, like, I truly think this is LeBlanc. I think this is LeBlanc, and we are seeing hints of the conflict that is to come eventually.
True. And while, like, I did wish we got more of Mel's parentage, I'm actually fine with them not being like, oh, your father was blank, or whatever,
I'm positive I know who the father is. I'm positive.
The gold, like, how come she never found it odd that, like, it's clear that the gold is now like a part of her?
She literally never took it off. Like, what's going on here? And that's a conversation she has with Jace, right?
Yeah, and like now we realize it's because she can't take it off. It's part of her.
Like, did Jace never question it?
Gold? I know, right? Like, this is like Jace never questioned.
Jace, you literally were screwing her. Did you not question why she never took the gold armor plates off?
And he was too busy having sex. So you know what? I can't blame him there. But like, it's really like, how did no one else question this?
Oh God, I have so many questions about like what he was thinking. Because like even like just before foreplay, like you see that she's taking stuff off. Like,
and imagine like when he touches it, it's like, oh, it's cold. Wait, it's real metal.
It's real metal. Is this everywhere? Anyway, God no. Like I I love this what the story does with Mel. But we get back to Jace, right? And my God, Jace in this series, when he's cleaned up after being gone away, like look, guys, I understand the rugged thing isn't for everyone, but damn, does he look good, rugged, and clean now? We also like get to see him interacting with Mel again, how they've changed, like the coarseness between them. It's no longer smooth. It's like trying to put two puzzle pieces that used to fit perfectly together at odds.
Yeah.
Like I think honestly, what did you take away from their interaction?
Of who?
Of Jason Mel.
Oh yeah, it was a good argument, because I think Mel has been kind of getting off easy, and so Jace Jace finally called her out on that earlier stuff. You call us investments, and you made us push Hexic, and then Mel has a good point of you would have done that anyway.
You're scientists, of course you're investments. And I also like that we get to see them doing a combo against Victor's new weapons.
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
And that fight was Mel's learning arc basically for her magic.
It really was, because guys, she is definitely gonna be a support champion when she's in the game. I've never seen more of a support in my life.
Mel can even fight. Every time Mel gets into melee, she loses immediately.
But I also like that she doesn't stop, right? She's very much I'm just gonna keep throwing myself against here, and if you try to hit me with something that I'm gonna die from, shield.
Yeah, we do have to respect that she still tries,
She still tries, and she does a great job with it. I also like that, Victor is still trying to talk to Jace and talk him into joining him. He's like, no, you need to join me, because this man is addicted to the himbo. I'm gonna be real.
Sure.
No, because he just keeps coming back to Jace. He keeps wanting his partner in crime. No matter how you view the relationship, whether you view it romantic, platonic, whatever, he can't do this without Jace. He delays every plan to talk to Jace. Even if he loses something in the process, he tries to do so.
It did come in. It just deflects on him. So you're right.
Yes, he did. He gave him a warning, basically. Because Jace had no idea what those things would have looked like or been capable of, and if that didn't happen, he's seen them in a prior state in another universe. Now they are here. And speaking of these things, we get to see how they're made, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, if you want to lead this one, I'm down, because I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I love the aesthetic. Yeah, it's like porcelain with gold trim type shit. And just the hive mind aspect of Victor talking through all them. Yeah, very very well done. And I love the hive mind aesthetic too.
I think it's perfect. I also like that we're finally getting Victor from the game, the glorious new evolution. Whatever he was saying.
Yeah, that's his line, right?
Whatever it is, that's his line, and he very much is in this moment. And they're making Ambessa, after losing Rictus, it just wants warriors with no fear, and that's what Victor's basically promising her. And you see in this episode, Ambessa not even caring that these creatures have no anything. They have no soul. None. She doesn't care that they used to be people either. She's just using them. They're another weapon for her. Just like Warwick is a weapon, and they're using Warwick like a fucking blood bag transfusion for Victor to stay alive. They are. It's terrifying. It is absolutely it's vilifying, honestly. Victor has fallen so far from where he started. And I think this episode shows a good example of why Ambessa is the enemy. She doesn't care about people. She just wants power. Even if that power is in search of the people she loves and to protect them, power like over encumbers everything else. Ugh. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of how evil Mbessa is.
Yeah, no, I am surprised that they made a villain, but I also don't mind. Like,
I think she makes a really good, compelling villain.
Yes. And as we see that she is sympathetic to a point, you know, she does care about like family, but she cares more about power.
like she even like it makes it a point, like when her and Mel are having conversation, because Mel does come to her for a conversation. This episode is very much a Mel focused episode.
Yeah.
Like she's like listening to her daughter and hearing how like the Black Rose has come to her. She's happy that her daughter's alive, but she isn't happy with her just being alive. She wants all threats gone, which means if Mel gets in the way, she will not put her down, but she will put everything else down around her. There's no reasoning with it. There's no, just like how like Caitlyn couldn't be reasoned with in the beginning of Act 2, there would never be reasoning with Mbessa as a singular figure. There isn't. And this episode has a really good ending, a really sad ending. With Victor going to the plunge. I will get to like the most amazing thing they did in this episode, the gayest thing they did at the end of this, but I need to talk to you guys about the ending of this episode where we see Victor fully embrace, with the help of Singed, this mechanist version of himself, less human. And to do so, he literally has to destroy any semblance of Sky in him, a remnant of humanity that has been holding on to him this entire time. And we get.
And she had a really interesting like final line where like Victor's like, "I will miss her talks," and she's like, "You won't." Like, oh, like that just makes it way more like ominous, you know?
It makes it way more ominous, and what further exemplifies it being ominous is the fact that all the dead bodies of his followers rise up off the fucking ground and start glowing and turning into these porcelain gold dolls. Oh my god. It is terrifying. It is absolutely. It shows that like there's nothing organic left. There's any semblance of him is now trapped inside this orb coffin he's been grown into. But there is something happy that happens in this episode. It's not just people being sad and depressed. Vi and Caitlyn finally hash things out. They do. Whether we're talking about whenever they're first talking, before Vi gets locked in a prison cell and, you know, Maddie's listening, and like they're having this reconciliation. Or
she was listening.
Yeah, she was listening, right? Like that's a very good hint at who Maddie is as a person. We'll get to her later. We will. But what happens in the prison cell when Caitlyn approaches her? Because Caitlyn isn't even telling her, "I told you so." She's coming to her as a person. And damn. Guys, I hope you know that when Vi said to Caitlyn in season 1 that the Undercity was going to eat her alive, it did. In every way possible, I think. Yes, the lesbians did it. They achieved what the series was always leading to. Take that however you want, just like Caitlyn did.
True. I mean, like, I kind of assumed that, like, in the interim between, like, season 1 and 2, they would have done it, but apparently not.
They went to a funeral immediately. They didn't have time. Are you kidding me?
But, like, all that time when Vi wasn't Piltover and Caitlyn wasn't, I guess she was mourning, and she wasn't horny.
Yeah, exactly. What, do you want, like, morning sex? Like, I don't think I would. Like, just put your clothes back on. I'm mourning my mother.
Well, you know, I would have morning sex over prison cells. Over
That is a
of her
quote.
sister's prison cell too. Of her sister, like
Oh my
it's
god,
weird.
you're so
It's so
picky.
weird.
This is,
It's
it's
a
because
weird place to do it. Okay, I'm
look,
just saying.
look, it's because you've never had siblings. Just
Well,
saying.
fair enough. I do think that look. I will say this about both the sex scenes of the series. They're both kind of
Impractically in
gratuitous.
place.
No, they're not impractically in place. They are gratuitous. Like there was they could have cut the black at any point for both of them, and they didn't.
You know what? You're so right.
It's to show that hey, we are an adult Netflix series, guys. Look at us.
I don't look. Neither of these scenes are for me. I don't mind them. They're like literally neither of these scenes are for me. Neither of them.
I don't mind them. I think like I'm not a prude. Like I agree that I agree that sex is a natural part of life and like should be shown and all that, right? But sex scenes are rarely good, unfortunately.
I think this one was fine. I think like it didn't like take away anything from the show. I don't know if it like added much. Like it's nice to see Vi and Caitlyn together. I didn't necessarily need to see it, but I know all my sapphic friends, I know you're living for this. So good for you guys. To the animators, wow, you were really horny. You were. Good for you. No. Is there anything else you want to talk about in episode 2?
We think that was it, yeah.
I mean, we can just quickly talk about how gorgeous everyone is in this show. My God. It is all just so fucking stunning. Even when Victor is puppeteering the dead bodies, like it's just beautiful. You'll hear me say beautiful a lot in this episode. But I guess on to episode 3. Oh my God, that's the other thing that you're gonna hear me say a lot. This is the final episode, and they decided to give us even more runtime with an added. How much more time was it to it?
About 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 10 more minutes of animation. That is insane. That is so much time to give, and I appreciate every added second and minute to this show. Oh God. So we begin this sequence with a depression lens from the lovely and beautiful Jinx, who cuts her hair in a very beautiful, visually stunning sketch animation they do of her with a new music video on top of it. They show her burning her home down, the last drop down. Everything has to burn, just like she wanted in Act 1 of this season. But the way she's doing it is not the way she would have done it before. I have to say, I think Jinx's story is one of my favorites in this series. She is incredibly compelling, not just visually, but story-wise. And that's not even getting into the ending of this episode. But the way that even like the ending of the explosion here is like glass shattering with her face in the center and what looks like glass teeth trying to eat her is beautiful. And the explosion that she gets ready to let off that's going to kill her, because she's getting ready to end it all, slowly explodes and starts eating away her flesh. You pointed this out to me. Like, her flesh is literally rending itself in that moment.
So good. And we finally see Echo with his gear. I was like, because I don't play League, but I only know about Echo because of the fighting game.
That we really both want to play.
And in that, he has like this thing. And so I've been waiting for him and to get it for this whole time. And he finally gets it. And it's great. He
gets it. It's great. And what I love is like he shows up, he tries to talk to her because like, he's getting ready to lose her and he just had a kiss with her in another universe and he's realizing things. And he's like, hey, please don't blow us up. And she just keeps trying over and over and over. He just keeps resetting. And then he finally is able to talk to her, sit down and discuss it. And he's like, just please don't blow yourself up. She's like, okay. She jumps off. And he resets time. And they have this beautiful moment where he talks about how would you best describe the words he says?
It's because Echo came back with a renewed hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't think it's his words entirely. It's when Jinx sees the like monkeys, because that was like her touch onto his like time like on the Z drive, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not just his words of a better hope, it's her seeing something, and I'm sure like Jinx, like, and Jinx didn't think, oh, like that was me or something. But it's Jinx like seeing that, like, it's Jinx seeing that someone thought of her and that there is hope, for a better future.
The best way to show this is a lot of artists have tags, and when we see our tags being used by another person, it gives us this beautiful hope, like the scientists would, or even like hackers. Hackers have their own little tags too, like.
Yes, they do. Yeah, exactly.
Like call sign tags. Like, it's the fact that someone took the time to remember us, and it is beautifully done here to see this moment. And guys, you'll hear me overanalyze any and every scene, but as someone who has struggled with mental health a lot, to see someone come to the aid of someone truly struggling, getting ready to jump off, it definitely holds a place in my heart that I don't think I'll ever let go of. This episode gets into the nitty-gritty. They are, after that moment, explaining that everyone needs to kind of come together. They need to put aside their differences. You can leave if you want, was like last episode. And now we're seeing the Zonites fully embraced into the military. They're all waiting for the first strike to happen. The leaders are making a plan, and they're talking about how they had to stop Victor from getting to the Hex Core, no matter what the cost is. Jace is going to be going to do that, while everyone else holds the line. They basically know they're dead. They know their chances of survival are very slim, but they're going to fucking try.
And they put all their hope into Jace.
All their hope into Jace. And my God, I mean, what a man to put your hope into, I'll say, at the very least.
And Jace was the cause of all the Hextech problems.
So it only makes sense that he's the one who has to fix it. But, like, this meeting happens, and then we immediately jump to the battle. We don't get a second to waste. Bai is running.
Which I did like, right? Like, I think, like, seeing the start of the battle, that was all, like, unnecessary. Like, just jump straight into the meat, and it's fine.
I think, considering how this season has gone, we have seen that, like, the animators and storytellers, they know that, like, hey, look, war isn't something that you can calmly wait for. There's no, there's anxiety, and then there's action. And they had enough anxiety, so they're just going to go ahead and jump to it. We see Piltover's guns versus Noxus's medieval weaponry, like lances and spears.
True. And I did think that made a great like contrast too. It's like they're all like old school, and they got shields and crossbows, and their shields can like block bullets for some reason. But whatever. Like, I
mean, the Noxian steel is a thing in this world. I know it's not like really talked about. Like, Noxian steel is something.
Got you. It's stronger steel.
Yes, stronger steel. We see Loris on the little Gatling gun cannon thing that he has out there.
Yeah. And I love that because I think it's a recommissioned Hexgate. It's just that like they used it, and instead of like sending ships, it just sends like craters, like and the Piltover was not made for a prolonged siege like this,
Mm-hmm. And something that's also happening around Vi is one of the Jinxers who's dressed as an enforcer who is helping does perish, and Vi
Yeah,
seeing this, I think, is seeing what her sister's actions have inspired, and seeing that
true.
these people who basically value her sister's message are willing to risk it all for both cities.
Because we saw a lot of that Jinxer too in the other timeline. Like, she is just. I don't think she even has a name, does she?
I think they say her name. I just don't. I think it's Gert or something. I think it's Gert. Um,
Okay.
it's beautiful. I think they did a great job designing everyone in this show, but it's really cool to see so many get to have a chance here. And when we move off of that scene, we're immediately got onto Caitlyn's new Gatling gun, hex gun, and she's firing it off at Mbessa, and Maddie is assisting her. Such a good ex-girlfriend, so good.
Also, I also just liked how great all the tactics were. Like, because we see the Noxians. They don't use their biggest guns until they truly board, and until they're routed back. And then the Piltover ones, and they're using the resources, and they're holding lines of fire, and they have Caitlyn as a secret sniper onto Mbessa, and her attack would have worked if Mbessa didn't have a magic barrier.
I know. I think honestly, how everyone maneuvers in this show, it is cool to see them show both sides of the war. We have the aggressor who's like, okay, I have to wait to throw my best weapon here. They are stuck in one position. I can keep throwing my shit at this until I need to throw out the big guns once they've wasted their resources. I want to soften the battlefield so that I have an undeniable big victory. While Piltover's like, okay, Caitlyn, you are the sniper. You are going to be picking off resources here and there. Just don't die. Vi, you're going to be running people back and forth. You're going to be punching people who get through the line. Yeah. Loris, you're firing off heavy artillery.
That was great. I love they gave Loris more screen time, but then he fucking dies.
Yeah, he hits an arrow to the fucking neck here. So we also get to see people who aren't masked. We get to see people who actually die. And I think that's important to humanize everybody here. Like, everyone here has a life, unless you're a Noxian soldier, and then you're expendable. Because that's how Mbessa views it. She views her soldiers as expendable, while Piltover doesn't view anyone. Piltover God doesn't view anyone that way. They even take off the mask of the Jinxer to see her face.
Oh, true.
The individuality matters here. And then we cut away after Loris dies and things start to fall apart to a last chance, a last move where Caitlyn, Maddie, and Fish Guy are bringing in the last bit in. They're using Chemtech.
And we don't know his name, but man has he been a solid enforcer this entire show.
Exactly. Oh my god. No, please tell us what happens next, because I like hearing what you think of this scene.
Well, yeah, they try to make a tactical strike onto what they think is Victor, and they plant a Chemtech bomb, which I love that to show the unity of Piltover and Zon, they use Chemtech in this scene. It's a really nice touch.
It's a beautiful touch, and I just like how they plant this bomb. They're using these gray flares. They're going in. They've done everything they can, but it just doesn't work. And it's because Maddie, who turns out sabotaged everything. She knocks Caitlyn unconscious, and we see everyone start falling. All lines are falling off. Victor Cocoon is approaching, and Jace has turned off most of the hex gate, but it's just not enough. Finally,
and especially mentioned to Caitlyn in this scene for commandoing,
she really does.
One hand shoots her rifle,
and using the guy as a fucking shield. That's so fucking smart. Fish Guy just going in, guns blazing
with no gas mask.
Mm-hmm. We can see his eyes literally burning as he's doing it. and the nail put in place. Like that was such a good way to show like someone has betrayed them. We thought Jinx did it, but turns out no, didn't. But no, like Maddie betrayed them, and Mbessa is basically getting ready to have Maddie execute her.
It's quite vague if Maddie is a plant or if she's just a true believer of
Mbessa.
Yeah.
But no, like,
although interesting, the first scene we see her, she does mention Noxus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's questionable. Yeah, like
I think it's a good thing to theorize on. But like,
yeah, and she sure doesn't look Noxian too. So it's also a.
I think that's the thing with spies though. Like if you're gonna like, you know, breed spies for your kingdom, you will try and have a diverse group of people for that. So they can easily
something like that.
Because like, you know, Mbessa's a general. She's gonna have tactics like this. The way that like you know, Maddie basically has to tell her, like, sorry, Caitlyn, but my loyalties are to Mbessa. I appreciate your warmth. Tries to shoot her, doesn't work. Because Caitlyn grabs the gun, and then she tries to shoot her again, and then Mel fucking puts a shield around Caitlyn, and it bounces off and kills Maddie. And
that was crazy.
I love the exploration of Mel's magic, because it's just like, oh, shields, that's not aggressive. No, it is very aggressive if you use it right. But no, like, the war is going a play-by-play. They think they're winning. It seems like it's going somewhere, but it's just not. At this point, fucking Mbessa stabbed fucking Caitlyn so hard.
In that moment, I thought she just like killed her. I thought that was like kill strike, but it wasn't.
No, she went for something that would be way more painful. And yeah, I know, like Maddie eats it thanks to Mel. Mel tries to talk some sense, and we get a really cool sequence where like Noxus kind of surrounds them. The big guns get onto the shore. Things are going very poorly. And then Jinx comes in with Echo, the Firelights, and all of Zon rallied behind them. And my God, is that so fucking cool. We see Savika with her arm. We see the Firelights going off on their hoverboards. Jinx's base is now portable with a giant air balloon. What the fuck? Like, so much is going on. It's so good. And I like how the fight really gets equalized when everyone is working in tandem together. And it seems like it's going in everyone's favor, right? It seems like it's going good. We even, when the tides are changing and Echo's forces and Jinx forces join in, we see the musician at the beginning of this episode, who we saw evacuating earlier, actually fire off the big giant catapult gun and into Victor's orb. Turns out Victor was never in there. So fucking stunning. Do you want to talk about anything?
That musician, as we see him, like he puts down the piano cover and to take up arms. You know, it's that like thing, like tragedy. That's the stories a lot. You know, like the artist and the farmer have to take up arms this suddenly because of war, because of conflict.
Yeah, no. I think it's beautiful to see that display. Like, war affects everyone, and eventually you will have to become part of it if it doesn't get solved. And I like how this fight goes either way, and it ends brutally. It ends so brutally because, again, they Jinx and Echo join the fight, swings it in Piltover's favor until Mbessa brings out Victor's forces and her own with Warwick. Everyone gets fucking devastated. You're seeing everyone on the back line suffering costs. Mbessa is fighting Mel and Caitlyn. Oh my God, Victor is confronting Jace.
And the details are just insane. Like I didn't even notice until the final fight that like Jinx's new weapon is like it's half minigun and half her rocket launcher.
It is, and it is so beautiful to see them use these weapons the way they are, and how they've like improved and changed with the characters. And it's incredible to see how everyone's powers have evolved. Like you know how you said like Mel just keeps fighting. She's not good at melee, but she just keeps running in.
Yeah.
But like, damn, are her and Caitlyn a good combo against Mbessa? Because they just are relentless and they're willing to sacrifice so much to get there. To finish off like the Mel and Caitlyn fight, because I think it's so important to show it off in its entirety. Mel is shielding Caitlyn from big blows, and Caitlyn is the aggressor. And Bessa is kind of on the back foot, but she has these Mordekaiser wraps around her arms, like these chains and sigils on her that help her fight. And it's not until Caitlyn literally sacrifices one of her eyes in a hold that she's able to rip it free, where Mel can send Mbessa to the Black Rose using her amulet.
That was a great scene. It was so fast. It was so quick.
It was so fast and so quick. And I think it's so important to note down, Mel isn't on either of their sides. She shows here that she just wanted to solve Piltover's plight.
I think she's definitely on like Caitlin's side.
She's on Caitlin's side, but she's not on Black Rose's or Mbessa's. Yeah. She wanted to take Mbessa down her way. And she does so by just fucking up the Black Rose's plan for Mbessa. And we see like
and
Mbessa,
LeBlanc even is like, well done, child. Like she gives her props for
exactly. And at the end, Mbessa also gives Mel props. She's like, you are the wolf.
True.
Like, she's recognizing that her daughter isn't a lamb anymore, that she is a wolf. She's not a fox. She can be powerful. While this fight is going on, we see that Victor's porcelain gold dolls are affecting everybody, stunning them in place, getting them a part of his weird hive mind. We see hive mind Warwick, which is definitely going to be a skin in the game. And it's Vi, Echo, and Jinx versus Warwick, which I think is a very brutal fight. And my God, Jace versus Victor, how Jace is still being like chased after by Victor. Victor wants him in his space. He wants him to join him, even if it's by force. It's insane. I can't quantify how I feel about all of this because so much is happening in these last 30 minutes.
And we just saw it, but yeah, it was great choreography. It really did a good job of balancing all the final plot lines, because that was a major concern that we had. Like, how are they gonna end this in one act?
And they did. They managed to end it all in one act, and the ending is bittersweet. We see Piltover and Zahn free, with Zahn having a seat at the table. But Jinx's story ends the worst, I think. Not worse as in, like, I hate the ending, I think it's bad for a character. I mean, it's bad for Vi. Because Jinx sacrifices herself to save her sister. Warwick is free from Victor's control for a multitude of reasons, because Jace and Victor do this weird rainbow hand-holding thing to free all of Victor's people. And he finally got through. Yeah, wait, we are skipping Echo's fight. My God, so much has happened. I forgot about Echo's amazing fight.
Okay. So let's go back.
Rewind. Oh my God.
Let's focus on Jason Victor first.
Okay. Jason Victor are having this war of ideals, basically, right? We're having a whole conversation about what it means
basically
to be human.
Perfection versus it's like what it means to be human, and it's like perfection versus like imperfection.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been kind of their entire conflict, up till now, because Jace made Hextech to improve everyone's lives. and like Victor has always been like trying to be something more because he was born crippled and and sick.
I think the great thing here is Victor feels like there are no choices to make. There's only one ending, and that's the greater evolution, the grand evolution. Whereas Jace admires what humans are. He wants people to make human decisions and human choices. And in the end, when he's finally able to break through to Victor and have this conversation, Victor, who's been trying to pull away, is pulled back in, is pulled into his humanity by Jace.
And kind of himself. Jace had the ultimate backup plan of just, if I get assimilated, I'll just show Victor the memories of his future self and all his like regret of like
because basically because Jace shows him the future Victor, which is one who gave him originally the little hex rune that he had before. And we see just countless times the choices made over and over again. And he'd rather...
and he gives him a different rune, which I assume means that,
he's trying different things.
Yeah. And it shows that, I interpret it as, and that this rune was just one thing, it was the teleportation spell that the mage, showed him. But, every time it is different, he goes on to make a different
new choice, a new decision.
But still in all those times, it is Jace that shows Victor there's more to life than just this perfection, this idle choice.
Exactly. And I think it's so important that happens. And none of that could have been done if Echo didn't enter the fray. Echo goes in with a Z drive, and we see it in action where every time something sets him back, he reverses time and takes a new leap forward. And it is beautiful to see him use his full kit here. Both his speed, his freaking sword, which I'm sad he didn't throw his sword forward and then it rewind back to his hand. That's one thing I wish would happen.
Really?
Because that happens in the game. But overall, this is a beautiful action sequence. And he makes a sacrifice of his Z drive to open up Victor's eyes to what's happening. And in doing so, gives Jace the opportunity to have this conversation, puts the hex rune into him, and they together break free of this. They break the cycle just like Jinx and Vi do.
And who knows where they go, if they go anywhere at all. I would count this as a death for them, because I think
it is kind of gone. They are they're not on screen after this point. We can count it as a death, which means we're wrong about the Victor prediction, but we're right about the Jace maybe prediction.
And he even died, as predicted, correcting his mistakes.
Yep. And then last but not least, the Jinx, Vi, and Vander fight that ends in tragedy. I know a lot of people online are very sad right now about Jinx dying, and they don't think it's fair. But I want you to understand that this was always the ending for Jinx. I love Jinx, but they set her up this season for this. She becomes a hero. And the only way a terrorist becomes a hero and has an ending befitting of them is a hero's ending, a hero's sacrifice. And to save her sister, to do what is right, she lets go, and she reminds her sister that just because she isn't there doesn't mean she's not with her. And I think it's a beautiful contrast that in the beginning of this act, we saw Powder without Vi, and now we see Vi without Jinx.
I agree. Because death is the ultimate endpoint, not just in life, but in a story, right? Mm-hmm. You can't do anything with a character past death. So to have and so for her to die a hero's death is for her to to be static, to stay in that moment. You know, in that moment, she wasn't Jinx the terrorist.
In that moment, she
was Vi's sister. You know,
she was Vi's sister.
finally.
I think you made a point where like, you know, like this was Powder. I don't think this was Powder or Jinx now. I think this was a secret third new thing, which is a combination of the two. It took Jinx's courage and Powder's love to make a decision like this.
I agree. Yeah, that's a great point.
And I just want to say, for someone who is cis, Jinx changes her name a shit ton.
I see.
But no, like, the story has a conclusion here for Jinx. We see at the end of this a memorial happen for everyone lost.
Uses the fucking suicide grenade.
Yes, she is so obsessed with blowing up. She's so obsessed with blowing up. I think that is insane. But no, like, I think everyone's story ends in a way that I feel I'm okay with it ending. We see that Mel goes off on a ship alone. Savika's on the seat of council. We see that Caitlyn and Vi are setting off to new sails, and Echo is there in Zon and Piltover. And I think it's good that we see it this way. The last shot of this show is them flying a blimp out of the city. And I think it's really cool that the last shot of these characters is a blimp going out of the city, and in the first shot, the New Seas and New Horizons, and because the first shot in this series that wasn't the bridge scene was a blimp going into the city, traveling into this story. It's a way to full circle it, and I think Arcane definitely full circled it. They broke the cycle so they could make a new one. But that was Arcane Season 2. Arcane as a whole. I don't know about you, but I already know what my favorite character moment is in its entirety this season. I'll go ahead and say mine, but I think my favorite moment has to be Mel facing off the Black Rose in Act 2. Because we got to see just how smart she is, just how willing she is to do what's necessary. I think the scene where she's realizing it's not her brother and making the choice to do that violent act is very powerful.
Yeah.
That'd have to be my favorite moment, and Mel is one of my favorite characters. I don't think I can pick a favorite, but it is my favorite moment this series.
Fair enough.
How about you?
Well, you know, I'm biased. Again, I know League from the fighting game.
It's Echo.
So it would have to be Echo. One, he was just the consistent GOAT of the entire series. Like, he was holding it down in like season 1 for Zon, and then in season 2, while all the Chem Barons were fighting over Zon, Echo was taking in refugees and, like, you know, trying to fix their pollution problem.
Yes, that's very true.
And then, you know, if we want to give it a scene, it would be him talking down the Powder. I could go basic and go, oh, the fight scene or whatever, right? But his best scene was him talking down Jinx.
Yes.
It was a great use of his powers and his character, you know. It basically solved the finale.
It did. It solved every loose end. It did. I think the other thing we need to definitely talk about before we end this episode of Rambles of an Idiot, or whatever we're calling this. I'm calling this series Rambles and Recaps. But
fair. It's alliterative.
It's very alliterative. You can't tell by my username or anything that I love alliteration. But they set up a lot of things here. It seems like we're going to be going to Noxus with the next series, possibly, with the showing of Swain's Raven, the three-eyed Raven on both six-eyed, really. That's pretty much clearly shown here. We also see Oriana in the background in the scene, which, I mean, Singed lost nothing in this series.
He fucking gained everything, bro.
Like look at an old white man truly winning in
Oh my
life,
god.
right? Like he gained everything.
It's the funniest meme. It was just Singe sitting there, successful after making everyone's life worse. Fucking killed me. I was like, yo,
I
it's
know.
true though.
It's
Fucking
literally
happened.
true. It's literally true.
Oh my god.
I just love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this entire segment of things. If you want me and my editor to watch another show and do something like this, please tell us. We'd be happy to do so. Oh my god, but thank you all so much. I've been Mimics. You guys are the Mayhems. I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.